Thank you and welcome to the Nemsys Best Practices webinar. Today we're going to be discussing why having proper equipment is important and how it can decrease your costs. Also, we'll be discussing how to lock your PC. Let's get started. Why is proper equipment? Well, one of the reasons why choosing the correct equipment is important is because people or employees cost money. An employee that makes $75,000 a year technically costs a business nearly double that, almost $150,000 per year. This information is based on the standard business practices of having a full benefits package, full health, 401k within a standard match, and 10 days of paid leave within the year. The efficiency of the equipment, taking that same person and equate him to approximately $36 an hour. If he has to wait on his machine to perform his job duties, a business can start losing money. Let's take an example here. Let's say that you open up an application. Typically this application should only take about 10 seconds to open. However, in this case the machine is no longer adequate for his needs and takes about 120 seconds to open. For the sake of the argument, let's just say that he opens the application about 3 times a day. So that means 30 minutes in a week this employee is just waiting for this application to open. Obviously there's 52 weeks in your normal work year, so that means he have accumulated 26 hours in a year just waiting for that one application that he's trying to use to open because the machine no longer opens it as quickly as it used to. Now I know in all aspect and reality we all technically wait for a lot longer than that, and we all open multiple programs and everything just seems like it slows down over time. Well, typically that it becomes the case as new programs have new patches and newer versions. All are made on the current and latest technology, so your machine as it ages technically and in a way becomes slower. So let's go back to this example. In those 26 hours that he has waited over that entire year, although at 30 minutes in the week doesn't seem like much, it adds up pretty quick. Technically this becomes $936 of straight time in a year of just him waiting on his machine. This does not calculate any additional costs the company is paying out for other benefits. This is just one small example of why machines are recommended to be replaced every 3 years due to advancements in technology for the efficiency and speed of the PCs. As I just mentioned, that newer programs are based off of the current technology. So as programs age along with the PC, the updates for those programs are based on the current technology. So therefore, it's going to start to run slower and slower. Quality and build components of a PC. And this is very important. Most people do not take an understanding of that two machines are not created equal. There are machines that are based and standardized for consumer class, and then there are machines that are based and standardized for business use. These machines are built differently because they have different applications that they're being used for. Business class machines are designed and are intended to run for longer periods of time versus the consumer PC, which is they don't expect you to be at home as much as you are at work. You take into consideration that you're expected to be at work working about 6 to 8 hours in the workday, sometimes more depending on what you do. So you're not going to be home because obviously your other time is going to be at grocery stores, doing other things, being with family, watching TV. Consumer class equipment, technically they consider maybe an hour to 2 hours per day on them versus your standard 6 to 8. So business class equipment is designed to run for those longer periods of time. The components in a business class machine are also built to handle additional abuse. They know they're put into an environment that may not always be perfect for a PC. So therefore they have stronger casings, the metal is usually thicker, they use ball bearing versus sleeve bearing fans so that they can run a lot smoother. The capacitor and other electrical components are built to have higher tolerating and working temperatures. So all these different components put together winds up meaning, and also if you look at the prices, business class machines are built for business use, and they also tend to cost a little bit more, which is why when you're picking the equipment, it's always a good idea to choose that correct equipment that's going to be for your needs. versus just grabbing the first thing you see off the shelf. How can equipment decrease your costs? Using the standard industry machine refresh cycle, business machines are typically refreshed every 3 years. This isn't because the machine is going to fail within 3 years, it's because technology changes so rapidly and the failure rate does increase after the 3-year mark. Keeping your machines up to date reduces the cost of operating and allowing the employee to work efficiently. Taking into consideration that in 3 years technology changes so much that your machine is going to be outdated within that 36-month period. And our last topic, we just showed you the costs that are associated with slower and out-of-date machines to an employee who has to wait for those newer and updated applications to open versus when they were originally installed. A newer machine can have a return on investment within just a year just by its increased speed, because obviously that one application costs in the company about $900 to $1,000 just in the employee just waiting for the application to open versus having a newer, faster machine which could keep up with that. After the 3-year mark, the failure rate starts to climb each year after that. So after that 36-month period has passed, your standard failure rate is going to be a very low mark. Once that 36-month passes, that failure rate goes up, and every year after that, that line starts to climb on that graph, so that you wind up having a much easier possibility of having a failure of your equipment. Less failures and faster warranty response. The warranty that NEMSYS recommends, as a VCIO I also recommend at least a 3-year and next business day. As we discussed, time is money, and if you wind up having not that next business day warranty, what winds up happening is the manufacturer can take anywhere from a week to 2 to 3 weeks to get parts replaced, and that is just not acceptable in today's standard of business practices. So NEMSYS always chooses that next business day so that we can get that machine up and running, and if it's a critical class equipment, they actually have 6, 4, and 1 hour response times for critical components on networks. This also covers your machine for that recommended refresh cycle. Since we typically recommend machines being replaced every 3 years, this goes along and aligns you with that particular policy that we recommend. So the next business day ensures a timely response and repair in case of an outage if one happens to occur. We obviously hope it doesn't, but you never know. Since the failure rate within the first 3 years is at the lowest point of the machine's life, this first 3 years helps pay for itself for the lack of having the employee go without a machine in case of a failure. An outage to a single or multiple machine costs quite a bit more cost to the company, so machines that are made correctly along with the warranty response that's necessary for the business is all things that have to be taken into consideration to when we're picking the correct equipment for use in the business environment. Using the technology. Most people don't understand why this could possibly decrease costs. As things change and technology advances, using technology to be able to leverage your job and duties that you're doing more efficiently, and even measure that of others in the business to help decrease costs, finding out where there are possible areas to be able to improve, and using technology to be able to identify those areas to be able to make the advancements necessary. Putting into necessary time and money into creating processes and having something done based off of other variables helps save the business money. That being a more advanced scenario, let's go to something a little bit more simpler. As I have down here, being able to email someone and having them be able to answer it via their smartphone has just decreased the costs. How is that even possible? Well, that very simple method of being able to have email wherever the person is at. Let's say it's a salesperson. They get their email on their smartphone, they can reply to the customer. They might be out to lunch, which normally maybe that would be an hour till they respond, or maybe it's just after hours and somebody's trying to find some information. That faster response, being able to leverage technology, although it seems very common now, only 3 years ago it wasn't very common to have email being checked on your phone. Today it's almost a standard practice all over the board because It's leveraging technology for the use of the business. In today's industry, everything needs to happen in light speed. This being able to work from home. We live in good old Toledo. We have these wonderful snowstorms. Being able to have a level 3 sitting at home, being able to still do your job duties and getting things done in a timely manner is one of the best things about technology. Having it anytime and everywhere that you want to be. Taking proper care of your equipment. There are a lot of possibilities and ways to take care of your equipment. Reason why you want to take care of your equipment is because failures, obviously, as we discussed in the previous few slides, cost money and cost a lot of money. So we can't take people away from their machines. So we want to make sure that they're up to date and everything is taken care of. PCs are no different than any other piece of equipment. They do require regular maintenance to ensure the best possible performance from them. If we just let a machine go, the chance of failure actually starts to go up, and the machines will operate a lot less efficiently than they would if they were having regular maintenance performed on them. For our customers that are on our MSP, or as known as our managed service agreement, we handle all the maintenance for them, so they don't have to think about whether or not they've done drive checks for errors, correcting those errors, checking for defrag, clearing out temp files and internet files for clutter and slowing the machine down. We're also looking into excessive dust in the equipment and cleaning them out. People don't think of all these small little items, but they start to add up very quickly. We usually typically just think about the bigger items, fragmented database off your Exchange servers and such, but all the little items on the end user PCs also cost a great deal of time and money if there is a failure or not a failure, just the efficiency of the machine. So we've taken care of as much as possible for our customers on the MSP agreements. We also obviously want to make note not using your machine as a footrest, not setting your drink on your machine or your monitor, kicking the machine or hitting your mouse and keyboard. All of these little items that we might do just out of habit or out of frustration are also not good for the equipment. Taking consideration of you coming in from a good old winter storm in good old Toledo and you get into your PC and maybe you're just accustomed to putting your feet up on your PC as a footrest. Well, if you get snow on your shoes, you put your feet up there, that water that starts to smelt from all that wonderful heat from your PC will drip down to your PC and possibly cause some shorting of the equipment. But you're just used to doing that during the summer, so obviously we don't want to be doing items like that. And I can understand at times becoming frustrated with your equipment if it's not doing what you want it to do, or if it's not running at its best at that very moment for one reason or another. However, obviously it's not a good idea to take it out on the PC. It's just doing what it's told, or it's have its own issues at that moment in time. So we want to be able to take care of that for you. However, if you are stressed at any moment in time, you want to find that wonderful Nemsa stress ball that we have given you. Squeeze it or throw it at somebody that you'd like. We do that at our Nemesis office, actually. We pick up that ball and we'll throw it around a little bit in case we get a little frustrated also. Instead of taking it out on that PC. If you don't happen to have one of those little wonderful stress balls, obviously notify your account manager or a Nemesis employee and we'll get you one, because we'd rather have you get your stress out on that little guy instead of your computer. And on the last item here on what we're going to be discussing is how to lock your PC. There are multiple ways of doing it. We'll discuss the 3 popular methods, which is just doing Control-Alt-Delete. You'll then get a prompt that you can click lock. You can go to Start Shutdown and then choose lock. Or the most simplest method of all, your Windows key, which looks like the window logo, holding that down and hitting the L. And I'll show you that real quickly here. So if we go Control-Alt-Delete, we can go right to locking the PC. We can also go to the shutdown program, which will probably wind up stopping my recording, so we won't do that. And then the Windows L key goes right into the lock part also. One of the other things I want to show you guys while I have a quick second is on the Nemesis webpage. I'm not sure how many people are visiting that. but it's a wonderful place to get some additional information that you might not even be aware of. All our blogs that we are now doing in our technology area is available directly on our Nemsys website by going to the blog option. Going here, we have technicians and account people all showing you new possible cool things. Educational tool blog, which shows you how to get to our educational videos, which will show you how to lock your PC also. And it might be a good idea to show that to other employees of the company if they are curious of how to maybe archive their email. We have videos in there for that. How to submit a Nemsys support ticket. Any other events that we might be having coming up, like the Nemsys customer event that we had came up here. You can find that all right through our blog. The blog is updated, if I'm not mistaken, every single week. So there's always something new there to read and see and be able to use. If you do have any questions to the video and coverage, obviously we'll have this posted online so that you can review it at any moment in time. But if you have any questions or you're curious about how Nemsys can re-leverage your technology, or if you feel that you have PCs and whatnot that you pretty sure are slow, you can obviously have your VCIO come out. That would be myself, or you can talk to your account manager, and we'd be more than happy to assist you with figuring out what we can do for your technology and items of that such. And I do like to thank everybody for joining me today, and if you do have any questions, please let me know.